Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast. I'm Natasha, and today, we are going to talk about something that can really help you succeed at work: business communication skills.
That's right, Natasha. I'm Sam, and today's episode will focus on why communication is important in business, how you can improve it, and some practical tips that will make you a better communicator, whether you're writing emails, talking to your boss, or working with a team.
Exactly, Sam. Good communication can make a big difference in your work life. It helps you get things done faster, reduces mistakes, and builds better relationships with colleagues and clients. But it's not just about speaking well, it's about listening, understanding, and making sure your message is clear.
Yes, and it's something everyone can get better at. Whether you're new to a job or have years of experience, improving your communication skills will always help you do your job better. Let's start by talking about one of the most important skills: active listening.
So, what is active listening? Well, it means really focusing on what the other person is saying, not just waiting for your turn to talk. It's about understanding their message completely before you respond.
Exactly. Imagine you're in a meeting, and your manager is explaining a new project. If you're not fully paying attention, you might miss important details. Then later, when you start working, you realize you didn't understand the instructions, and you have to ask again. This wastes time for both you and your manager.
That's a great point. To avoid that, you need to listen carefully, and one way to show you're listening is by asking questions. For example, if your manager says, "We need to improve the way we handle customer complaints," you can ask, which part of the process needs the most improvement? This shows that you're paying attention and want to understand clearly.
Yes, asking questions is key. It shows you care about the details and that you're engaged. Another great way to practice active listening is to repeat or summarize what the other person said. For example, if a client tells you, "We need the report by Friday, and it should focus on last quarter's results," you can reply, "So, you need the report by Friday, and it should include all the data from the last quarter?" This makes sure you've understood them correctly.
Exactly. And this works not just in face-to-face conversations, but also in phone calls or even emails. Always confirm what the other person wants, so there's no room for misunderstanding. Active listening is about making sure you fully understand before you respond.
That's right. When you actively listen, you're building trust because the other person feels heard and valued. This is especially important when working in a team or dealing with clients. If they see that you really listen to them, they'll have more confidence in you.
Now let's talk about clarity in communication. This means making your message simple, clear, and easy to understand. Whether you're writing an email, giving instructions, or speaking in a meeting, being clear is essential.
Yes. Think about this. If you give unclear instructions, people may misunderstand what you mean. Let's say you tell a team member, "Can you finish this project soon?" What does "soon" mean? To you, it might mean tomorrow, but to them, it could mean next week. It's much better to say, "Can you finish this project by Wednesday at 3 p.m.? That's clear and specific.
That's a great example, Sam. Another way to be clear is to avoid using too many technical terms, especially if the person you're speaking to isn't familiar with them. For instance, if you're in IT and you're talking to someone from marketing, instead of saying, "We need to optimize the bandwidth," you can say, "We need to make the internet faster." It's easier to understand.
Exactly. People will appreciate it if you use simple words. It's not about sounding smart by using big words, it's about making sure everyone understands what you mean. And when you're writing, make sure to organize your thoughts. Start with the most important information first. For example, if you're writing an email to update your team, you can start by saying, "We've reached 80% of our sales target this month. Great job." This grabs their attention right away.
And don't forget to proofread. Whether it's an email, a report, or even a text message, it's important to check your work for mistakes. If your message has a lot of spelling or grammar mistakes, it can confuse people or make you seem unprofessional.
Yes, and even a quick reread can help. It takes just a minute, but it shows that you care about the quality of your communication.
Alright, let's talk about something that doesn't involve words at all: nonverbal communication. This includes things like your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. Even though you're not using words, these things can send a strong message.
Exactly. For example, if you're in a meeting and you're constantly checking your phone or crossing your arms, people might think you're not interested or even upset, even if you are paying attention. But if you sit up straight, look at the speaker, and nod your head occasionally, it shows that you're engaged and listening.
Alright, let's talk about something that doesn't involve words at all: nonverbal communication. This includes things like your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. Even though you're not using words, these things can send a strong message.
Yes, your tone of voice can make a big difference. If you say, "Can we talk?" in a soft, friendly tone, it sounds like you want to have a nice conversation. But if you say the same words in a harsh tone, it might sound like you're upset. So always be mindful of how you sound when you're communicating.
That's a great point. Nonverbal cues are important because they help support your message. Let's say you're giving feedback to someone. If your voice sounds angry or impatient, the person might feel nervous or uncomfortable, even if your words are polite. So, it's important to keep a calm and friendly tone when speaking.
Let's move on to written communication, which includes emails, reports, and instant messages. Writing clearly is a key part of good business communication.
That's so true. And this goes for video calls too. If you're working remotely, make sure you're looking at the camera and smiling when appropriate. It helps create a connection with the person on the other side, even if you're not in the same room.
Yes, and it's important to keep your emails short and to the point. Long emails can be overwhelming, and people might miss important details. For example, instead of writing, "I think we need to reconsider the strategy we've been using for the last 2 months because it hasn't been effective," you can write, "We should update our strategy because it's not working well." It's shorter and gets right to the point.
That's a great tip. Also, use bullet points or numbers if you're listing several things. This makes the email easier to read. And remember, always ask yourself, what's the most important thing I want the person to know? Make sure that's clear in your message.
And don't forget to check your grammar and spelling before hitting send. Mistakes can make your message confusing or make you seem unprofessional.
Lastly, let's talk about giving and receiving feedback. Feedback is an important part of business communication because it helps us improve. But it can be hard to give feedback in a way that doesn't hurt someone's feelings.
Yes, when giving feedback, it's important to focus on the action, not the person. For example, instead of saying, "You did a bad job on this report," you can say, "This report could be clearer if we add more data and organize the sections better." This way, you're giving helpful advice without making the person feel bad.
That's a great example. And when you receive feedback, it's important not to take it personally. Feedback is there to help you get better, so try to listen carefully and see it as a way to improve. You can say something like, "Thank you for the feedback. I'll work on that."
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for feedback yourself. Asking, "How can I improve?" shows that you're open to learning and growing.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode on business communication skills. We hope you found these tips useful.
Remember, communication is something you can practice and improve. The more you listen carefully, speak clearly, and pay attention to your nonverbal signals, the better you'll get at it.
Absolutely. Whether you're in meetings, writing emails, or giving feedback, These skills will help you work more effectively with others and build strong professional relationships.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more tips on business growth and professional skills. See you next time.
Take care, everyone.